Sakha. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman, Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Prahlad Narsimha, Jaya Prahlad Narsimha, Prahlad Narsimha, Jaya Prahlad Narsimha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Shadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Shadma. बंधमुई सावधान मते बंधमुई सावधान मते जहार प्रसादे भाई भवतरिया जाय जहार प्रसादे भाई भवतरिया जाय कृष्ण प्राप्ति है जहाँ होते कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चित्ते ते करिया एक गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चित्ते ते करिया एक आर ना करिह मने आशा आर ना करिह मने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति जे प्रसादे पुरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पुरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिल जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्यज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता दिव्यज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशिता प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेदिक है जहाँ रचरिता বেদে গায়ে যাহার চরিতা শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনর বন্ধু শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনর বন্ধু লোকনাথ লোকেরা জীবানা লোকনাথ লোকেরা জীবানা আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া এবে যাস বসুকে ভুবানা এবে যাস বসুকে ভুবানা শ্রীলা প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবনা শ্রীলা প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবনা জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ নিতাই গৌর হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল নমো বিষ্ণুপদায় কৃষ্ণ পৃষ্ঠায় ভূতলে শ্রীমতে ভক্তি বেদান্ত স্বামিনিতে নামিনে नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा पार्थसारथी राधा पार्थसारथी राधे जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय 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 प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य शिल हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। जुग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल गुरु पूजा की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मैराथन की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू शिष्य गुरु एंड गौरांग। शिल प्रभुपाद की गुरु पूजा। हमारे गुरुदेव के चरण कमल ही एकमात्र साधन है जिनके द्वारा हम शुद्ध भक्ति प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। मैं उनके चरण कमलों में अत्यंत भक्ति एवं श्रद्धा पूर्वक नतमस्तक होता हूँ। उनकी कृपा से जीव भौतिक क्लेशों के महासागर को पार कर सकता है तथा कृष्ण की कृपा प्राप्त कर सकता है। मेरी एकमात्र इच्छा है कि उनकी मुख कमल से निकले हुए शब्द द्वारा अपनी चेतना को शुद्ध करूं। उनकी चरण कमलों में अनुराग ऐसे सिद्धि है जो समस्त मनोरथों को पूर्ण करती हैं। वे मेरे बंधु आँखों को खोलते हैं तथा मेरे हृदय में दिव्य ज्ञान भरते हैं। जन्म जन्मांतर में वे मेरे प्रभु हैं। वे प्रेमा भक्ति प्रदान करते हैं और अविद्या का नाश करते हैं। वैदिक शास्त्र उनके चरित्र का गान करते हैं। हे गुरुदेव, हे प्रभुपाद, करुणा सिंधु तथा पतित आत्माओं के मित्र, आप सबके गुरु एवं सभी लोगों के जीवन है। हे गुरुदेव, हे प्रभुपाद, मुझ पर दया कीजिए तथा मुझे अपने श्री चरणों की छाया प्रदान कीजिए। आपका यश तीनों लोगों में फैला हुआ है। जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare Krishna, it's a great privilege for us to hear from His Grace Nitya Krishna Prabhu from Iskcon Detroit. Is a disciple of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Guru Maharaj, and the entire family is connected to Krishna consciousness. If you go to Iskcon Vrindavan, you'll see his father performing deity worship of Krishna Balram Radha Shyam Sundar at the age of 82. So the whole family is connected to Krishna consciousness, and it will be a privilege to hear from him.
Hare Krishna. It's our great privilege to welcome Professor Bhagat Onamji from JNU. Hariva.
Bhagatji has been really instrumental in the first ever Gita Jayanti celebrations at JNU, which is known for not being favorable to wonderful Krishna conscious pursuits, but they are also very open now, and it's all by the efforts of Professor Bhagat that this wonderful program of Gita Jayanti was organized. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nana Badadam Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Parthasarthi Radha Parthasarthi Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotra Tata Shestamai guys Abhay Charanuna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jaya Sama Veda Bhakti Vinda Ki Jaya Gaur Premanande all glories of assembled devotees all glories of assembled devotees all glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritta Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirye Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna. So today I'll be reading. First I'll say I'll be speaking in English. I'm sorry, I don't speak Hindi. So hopefully that is okay. So today we'll be reading from Canto 6, Chapter 5, text number 25. Title of the chapter is Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Techa Pitra Samadishtaha Prajasargadita Vrattaha Narayana Sarojagmur Yatra Siddhaha Swapurvajaha Teja Pitra Samadishtaha Prajasarge Ditavrittaha Narayana Sarojagmur Yatra Siddha Swapurvajaha Teja Pitra Samadishtaha Prajasargadita Vrittaha Narayana Sarojagmur Yatra Siddha Swapurvajaha. Please repeat. Yatra Siddha Swapurvajaha Teja Pitra Samadishtaha Mataji's. Teja Pitra Samadishtaha. Te, these sons, the Savalashas. Cha, and Pitra, by their father. Samadishtaha, being ordered. Prajasarge, in increasing progeny or population. Dhritarvritaha, accepted vows. Narayana Sara, the holy lake named Narayana Saras. Jagmuhu, went to. Yatra, where. Siddhaha, perfected. Swapurvajaha, their older brothers who had previously gone there. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. In accordance with their father's order to beget children, the second group of sons also went to Narayana Saras, the same place where their brothers had previously attained perfection by following the instructions of Narada. Undertaking great vows of austerity, the Savalashvas remained at that holy place. Please repeat. In accordance with their father's order to beget children, the second group of sons also went to Narayana Saras, the same place where their brothers had previously attained perfection by following the instructions of Narada. Undertaking great vows of austerity, the Savalashvas remained at that holy place. Purport. Prajapati Daksha sent his second group of sons to the same place where his previous sons had attained perfection. He did not hesitate to send his second group of sons to the same place, although they too might become victims of Narada's instructions. According to the Vedic culture, one should be trained in spiritual understanding as a brahmachari before entering household life to beget children. This is the Vedic system. Thus, Prajapati Daksha sent his second group of sons for cultural improvement, despite the risk that because of the instructions of Narada, they might become as intelligent as their older brothers. As a dutiful father, he did not hesitate to allow his sons to receive cultural instructions concerning the perfection of life. He depended upon them to choose whether to return home, back to Godhead, or to rot in this material world in various species of life. In all the circumstances, the duty of the father is to give cultural education to his sons, who must later decide then which way to go. Responsible fathers should not hinder their sons who are making cultural advancement in association with Krishna conscious movement. This is not a father's duty. The duty of a father is to give his son complete freedom to make his choice, and after becoming spiritually advanced by following the instructions of the spiritual master. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamstram Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Haripade Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity to attempt to glorify His Grantha Raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I beg the blessings of all the senior devotees, assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, so that we may have a fruitful discussion today on this very instructive pastime of Narada Muni being cursed by Prajapati Daksha. I was contemplating how to characterize my attempt here. I was contemplating, is it like the torch trying to offer light to the sun, or maybe the fish out of water? But I settled on one of Prabhupada's brilliant statements in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, a fool is only discovered when he speaks. So I will see what is discovered today, but I'll attempt to only speak what I've heard and what has been said by our prior acharyas and great illustrious devotees. So this story of Daksha or cursing Narada Muni. Daksha has a very storied history, very elaborately explained in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He certainly had his run-in with Lord Shiva earlier that was explained. His name, Daksha Prajapati, means very expert in sex life, in material life. That may be considered a very noble title. Certainly we understand it to be a very dangerous position. And Daksha, nonetheless, is a very accomplished personality. And so there's a lot that we can learn from his activities. So I thought we could discuss 3 things today, in principle. First, some of the practical instructions that we learn from this pastime. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is glorious in many ways, but it provides extraordinarily practical instructions. Sometimes we hear these pastimes that took place long, long ago, but we wonder, well, what does it mean for me today and tomorrow? And so we'll discuss a few of those takeaways from this pastime. We'll also discuss, as the purport indicates, the duty of the father. What is the responsibility of the father? Certainly Daksha was playing one role, but we'll understand his take there, and maybe some instructions on our role as father. And then finally, spend a little bit of time glorifying the great Narada Muni and how Srila Prabhupada is continuing on in his mission of spreading this knowledge, and talk a little bit about Sankirtana movement. So with your permission, we'll begin in these 3 topics. So, Daksha, he was so very close, yet actually far away. He accomplished amazing things. He recited these Hamsaguhya prayers so beautifully that he attracted the Supreme Lord to present himself in front of him. How many of us have chanted prayers and the Lord himself has come? Of course, he is present in his names, but the Lord himself came in his physical form. So Daksha became, quite advanced, and the Lord says, he achieved devotional ecstasy, and said that he achieved complete perfection. So, but we don't really associate these terms with Daksha. Complete perfection, devotional ecstasy, having attained the position of the Lord. But when he had that opportunity, after offering dandavats, he could not even utter what he was looking for, but the Lord knew what was in the deep chambers of his heart and fulfilled that desire. But from this we learn a very important instruction for all of us. that we actually don't know, at least speaking for myself, what it is to ask of the Lord, what it is to ask of the spiritual master. Daksha could have asked for perfection and continued perfection of devotional life, but instead he asked for this ability, to be able to procreate in a very elaborate way. And sometimes in our day-to-day life, we approach our spiritual master, we approach the deities, and we ask for so many things. But we might wonder, is that actually what is best for me? Daksha was asking for something that actually ultimately ended up in the cause of his ruination. But if he just took to the process of accepting Krishna's plan and said, you tell me what's best for me. And we see that Arjuna took this position in the very beginning of the 2nd chapter, after expressing all the reasons why he should not fight and going through his trials and tribulations. He put forth himself in the most expert of ways, in a way that we can follow. He put forth himself to the Supreme Lord as his guru. He said, I am your surrendered disciple. But then he says something very powerful. He says, please you instruct me what is best for me. He doesn't say, Krishna, please sanction my desire not to fight. He doesn't say, Krishna, please sanction this desire, that desire. But instead he is indirectly saying, I don't know what is good for me. Instead, you tell me, because I have faith, Krishna, in your plan. My interpretation is subject to fallacies. And we know we are in this material world only due to the attempt of executing our own plan. And thus, if we surrender ourselves to the Supreme Lord and to our spiritual masters, and asking them, what it is that is best for me. Sometimes we approach our Guru, Gurudev, may I do this service, may I do that. And we actually put our spiritual master in a bind. Because they may have a greater opportunity for us. But if they tell us no, and they have fear that we may not follow it, they want to prevent us from making that offense of disobeying the orders of the spiritual master. And so sometimes even the Guru will acquiesce, will sanction our desire, even though they have an even better plan for us. So it is our great opportunity to learn from Daksha and say it is better for us to simply surrender ourselves, as Arjuna did, and beg, please instruct me as to what is best for us. Because Daksha was so close, it ended up so far away. And that leads to the second point of what we can learn from this pastime. Narada Muni has such an illustrious resume. He has delivered so many great personalities, right? In Daksha's lineage, Priyavrata, Uttanapada, Dhruva Maharaj, Prachinabhari, the Prachetas, all these personalities were delivered by Narada Muni. Why not Daksha? He was so close. He's had association with the Supreme Lord himself. He had knowledge to be able to recite wonderful prayers, potency to do austerity. It is a great instruction to us that there's no guarantee in the result. There's a guarantee in the result of the process. Prabhupada said, if you follow the process, the result is guaranteed. But our ability to follow that process, it's not guaranteed. We may be serving for so many years, we may be doing so much intimate service, we may have acquired so much knowledge, but we should maintain a healthy amount of fear that it is not guaranteed. And in that way we can progress forward very confidently. Because Daksha had all the opportunities, yet he was not able to complete it despite it. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments that Narada Muni tried to deliver him even after being cursed by remaining silent. But he said he must not have been delivered only due to the lingering results of his offenses to Lord Shiva. That is a whole another class in and of itself. But the opportunity for us is to not rest comfortably thinking, okay, I've been here for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I'm safe. Once I like to quote this story because it's a good reminder to myself. Srila Prabhupada was asked by one of his disciples, Srila Prabhupada, what is the difference between you and me? This disciple was expecting some very elaborate discussion, maybe some commentary from Jiva Goswami on Guru Tattva, some very exalted technical definition or explanation. And I know many of you know this response. Srila Prabhupada said, I cannot fall down, but you can. Later that day, Srila Prabhupada was praying to the deities, and he was in a very intense, prayerful mood. And so this disciple was intrigued, and he was seeing this reciprocation between the deities and Srila Prabhupada. And so after Srila Prabhupada returned to his quarters, he asked Srila Prabhupada, may I ask, you seem to be having a very deep interaction with the deities. What were you praying for? What was your conversation? Kind of a bold question to ask. And Srila Prabhupada said, I was praying that I do not fall down. And the disciple was struck. What? You told me earlier that the difference between you and I is that you cannot fall down, but I can. And Srila Prabhupada said, now you know why. Because he was constantly praying. So Srila Prabhupada is praying this way. What about us? There is no guarantee, no matter how much advancement we have. And so we should cherish this greatest gift and opportunity we have by the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And remain with a healthy amount of fear. Not an overwhelming, but a healthy amount of concern. And in that way, we'll be protected and can proceed to perfection of life in following this process. So those two practical tips I felt we could share and take from this pastime. Now let's discuss a little bit about the duty of the father. The duty of the father, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. You can see he's explaining, how the father should not get in the way of his disciples. We know why. How many fathers approached Srila Prabhupada and said, begged, please give me my son back. Please give me my daughter back. And Srila Prabhupada faced this situation very extensively in his efforts to spread Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. But the duty of the father is very simple. It is to free the child from death. And I wanted to read just a line from a prior purport, very powerful statement Srila Prabhupada makes. This is in the purport to the 20th verse. And he says that the material father and mother are important only, I'll emphasize, only if they are interested in educating their son to become free from the clutches of death. Very strong statement Srila Prabhupada is making. That our material mother and father, they are only beneficial if they can free us from the clutches of death. So this is the prime duty and responsibility of the father. And it's very interesting that Daksha, again being so close yet far away, he was sending his sons back to this place. If we had some child and we sent him to some place and he become, brainwashed and, at least from our estimation, corrupted in his thought, so much so that he began to disobey us and ran away, would we send our next child back to that place? We would not. We would not. But it's very interesting that Daksha, he had good cultured knowledge. He understood the importance of learning austerity, of learning some of these brahmachari principles prior to entering into the grihastha ashram and begetting children. So he had great value in this process. But he was not utilizing it to its full potential. Because had he would have actually celebrated the success of his first 10,000 sons. What else a father could do but to deliver them from the clutches of death and take them back home to Godhead? But we know he was not celebrating. So he was following these spiritual principles, I'm basically on the basis of karma kanda, trying to do some regulated sense enjoyment. But he had some strong faith in that, so much so that he was willing to even send his child back to the place where he lost his first set of children. So this responsibility of the father is very clear. And freeing from the clutches of death, it sounds very complicated, right? We have billions and billions of people are spending unlimited amounts of money and energy trying to find this solution to freedom from death, eternal peace and happiness. But we know from our teachings that it kind of boils down to three simple things. Just need to know, who am I? Need to know, who is God? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is my relationship? The Father teaches these three things. Who am I? Who is the Supreme Lord? And my relationship. Everything that we are searching for becomes accessible to us. So this is the role of the Father, to imbibe this spiritual culture. This word culture is mentioned several times in this purport by Srila Prabhupada. What is culture? Culture, we define in the material terms. It is a set of beliefs and values that then govern action. That our activities are based on a foundation of certain values and principles and beliefs. But in society we see that in our attempts of modernizing education, we have removed the education that teaches these core fundamental values and belief systems that was established in our Vedic systems, where the child learned what it means to have a life full of values. And so instead, our children today grow up acquiring the values and belief systems from nonsense on TV, from nonsense in social media, from interaction with societal norms. Our great fathers, you ask 100 fathers, would you rather have your child be the top graduate of IIT or the #1 world book distributor? What they'll select? IIT topper. You want your child to be a great doctor or a prolific preacher of the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada? What do you want your child to be? Oh, the doctor. Such foolish conclusions our parental systems have come to realize. But as Srila Prabhupada is telling us, the father has only one responsibility, and that is to deliver the child. If not, no need to even become a father. Prabhupada says there's no value. So this is the responsibility to teach this. And Narada Muni uses the allegory of the father in the prior verses to explain that the real father ultimately is the Shastra, our scriptures. Because Shastra teaches us only one thing. Yes, in many varieties and flavors, but it teaches us one thing: how to detach from this material world and how to attach to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Radha Parthasarthi. This is the only thing, and this is what the father must fall in line with the Shastra. And the role of the father is to take the child to the spiritual master, to the spiritual father. And thus the child can learn these principles. I can share my own personal experience with my father. I tell my father all the time, as Prabhuji had mentioned, he is a wonderful devotee. I'm considered the greatest of fortune. I've had millions and millions and millions of fathers, but one has finally brought me to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and bringing me to the process of devotional service. And for that I tell him, I am eternally grateful to you. And he says, I am not your father. Your Gurudev is your father. But I have one problem. It's a serious problem. Every time I go to my Gurudev and ask, Gurudev, what instruction I can do, how I can serve you, he says, you just follow your father. But my father has said, you just follow your Gurudev. So somehow I feel orphaned. I'm this ping pong between my father and my spiritual master. But I am blessed to have this sweet relationship that my Gurudev has with my father. But I'm in such need of support, but they are both grabbing hold of me. I just hope I am not foolish enough to someday let go of their instructions. So this is the duty of the father. Bring them to this process. And Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport that ultimately, though, our role as father is to give the knowledge, but the child must decide. Srila Prabhupada gave this very brilliant parenting formula that at least I tried. Being the father of 2 boys in this world, it is not an easy project. It is not an easy conquest. But I tried to follow this formula Srila Prabhupada had. He said in the first 5 years, from birth to first 5 years, should be very lenient with the child. Let them play, let them enjoy. From age 6 to 10, start to instill some discipline. Become a little bit strict with them. From age 11 to 15, be very strict and really ingrain these principles. But after age 15, you just be their friend. You be there for them. This is the role of father. Because we cannot control even our own children's decisions in life. Our responsibility is to give the best of education, this Vedic knowledge, and then it is up to them to decide. But always be the well-wisher. I can speak for myself, speak for all, grihastas. Sometimes if our children are, not following exactly how keep showering love, keep showering mercy, keep praying for them. Follow this formula Srila Prabhupada said. He didn't say abandon them if they don't make the right decisions. Just continue to be, and eventually Krishna will sprout that seed in their heart. So this is the duty of the father. So I'll conclude with the third topic of our discussion, the glories of Narada Muni. We can judge the potency of fire, how strong a fire is, by its ability to transform. If I bring a big steel iron block, and that fire can transform that iron block into liquid, we know this fire is very powerful. So similarly, we can see Narada Muni's great power by his ability to transform. He delivered 10,000 sons in one swoop. Just to bring 10 people to Krishna consciousness, how much effort it takes. But Narada Muni is so powerful, 10,000. And then, that's not enough, another 1,000 by simply saying, follow your brothers. Follow your brothers. He didn't have to even repeat the philosophy. He was so intelligent. This is Narada Muni. We know, of course, Ratnakar and Mrigari the hunter. So many personalities were delivered. And Srila Prabhupada, coming in Guru Parampara from this potency, sees how many thousands of Mrigaris and Ratnakars he delivered. He was preaching in the most degraded of situations. I used to live in New York City, and the place of Bowery has become this very hipster place to be now. But when Srila Prabhupada was there, it was like the depths. It wasn't even part of this bula. It looked like it should come from Patalok or somewhere down in the lower regions. So degraded was the consciousness. But Srila Prabhupada's potency was so strong that he could transform even the most fallen of the fallen into the exalted devotees and acharyas that we are all now the beneficiaries of. And he did so with this perfect, process of spreading this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, it was through his tireless efforts of printing and writing and printing books that became the foundation of our entire process. And it is this distribution of books that is our greatest opportunity. And so I am deeply honored and humbled to be in the association of all of you. You all are the world's most prominent example of book distribution. Nowhere in the world are more books distributed than here in Delhi. It is the greatest. We have 19 temples now, I'm told. 19. What other place in the world can claim 19 temples? You may not even find 19 temples, churches, mosques, add them all up, you may not find 19. Here we're finding 19 centers, temples, spreading, emanating this greatest of knowledge, trying to share this spiritual culture. And all of you, with your tireless efforts of distributing books, have made this a reality, following the instructions of our prior acharyas. And for this I am so, so grateful. And I beg one thing from all of you. Please share the dust of your lotus feet on my head so that I can take to the process of distributing books in some fraction of what you all do. Last year I was here, and I was stunned by one statement. It showed to me the depth by which all of you are ingrained and committed to this process of distributing books. Some devotee, I don't remember who it was, if it was you, please raise your hand because I would like to acknowledge you. But they asked me, where are you from? I said, I'm from the US. They said, are you feeling cold here? I said, no, this is not cold. Where I am from, it is very cold. He said, how cold? I said, it's -15 or less. Really? I said, yes. And we have snow, ice on the grounds. And he was stunned. And I can see he was formulating a question. And in that formulation of question, I was anticipating he's going to ask me, how do I walk on the snow and not fall? How do you drive on the snow and not crash? No. His question, instant reaction. How do you do books in the snow? Haribol. I said, wow. He is concerned about how one can do books in the snow. This is his first reaction. I was just stunned to see how deeply penetrated into the heart the natural instinct is of book distribution. So I pray to all of you for this great opportunity to learn from all of you and how to carry on this Sankirtana movement, because we know this is the most pleasing service to Srila Prabhupada. And I have had first-hand experience of the power of book distribution, but I'm still so foolish that I won't take to it. As Krishna Shikamar Prabhu asked me to share some stories or personal experiences of the power of books that I have seen in the US, so I'll share them. One very, very close to me, actually both of them are very, very close and personal examples. I pre-videoed him with him yesterday to get his approval, so he has sanctioned them. So, my wife, she comes from a very wonderful Vaishnava family. From birth, was trained in these great Vaishnava principles. But there was one sort of disconnect with me, was that she was coming from another sampradaya. I, being brought up in this movement, at least starting from my teenage years, I had one strong desire that as I entered Grahastha ashram, I wanted my whole family to follow Srila Prabhupada. And so I put forth to her, I said, look, this can only work if you are willing to follow Srila Prabhupada. And I was a little bit extreme in my presentation. I didn't say follow Srila Prabhupada and what you have followed. I said you must renounce that. And I understand you likely won't do that. She had many more better candidates certainly than myself. So, but I was stunned that she immediately said yes. And I was wondering, what was the source of her faith to follow Srila Prabhupada in Iskcon? Her whole life, she was following another path. Very sweet, very bona fide Vaishnava path, coming from one of our Vaishnava sampradayas. It was several years later that I learned how she got this faith. When she was a young child, she would as children do, sometimes they would get upset for the frivolous of things, not enough cookies or this or that. And so when she was, running away from her parents, in her living room, there were two sofas. It made a little corner. And she would jump into the middle of this corner of the sofa. And in the back of that wall, there was a bookshelf. And guess what was there? A Bhagavad Gita from Srila Prabhupada. And so she was hidden from everybody. She would open that Bhagavad Gita. And she would just read the pictures or look at the pictures. And in her, immature anger, she would say, I'm going to run away to the temple. Then she would close the book. And she would do this. Srila Prabhupada made that a reality. She ran away to the temple. Is now an esteemed member of our congregation, serving. She runs our Sunday school as a pujari, manages so many festivals, and has been my guiding light in making progress and staying assuring of Srila Prabhupada. But it was there I realized how powerful Srila Prabhupada's books are. That she was able to detach from something that was so dear and attach, not even reading the books, just looking at the pictures. And this was 20 years prior to her making that commitment. She had not thought about Iskcon, I'm sure, for many years since then. But Srila Prabhupada heard those, I wouldn't call them prayers, but statements, and he made them come true. So potent the books are. The second pastime I'll tell is a dear friend of mine. We were in college together. He's a dear friend of mine, but he was not taking to spiritual life. He was what he would call himself a gross materialist. He was thinking, this spirituality is for those who cannot make a life on their own, and so they rely on this, just work hard and make your own success and you'll be happy. I'm sure none of you have heard that before, right? So this is how he was carrying on. But of course, being a dear friend, he was invited to our wedding. And so my father had only one desire in our whole wedding ceremony, was that he was going to distribute Bhagavad Gitas to each and every person in the wedding. And so he didn't even enter the reception hall. He literally stayed outside and was at the desk by the door. I said, Father, someone else? No. And he would hand the Bhagavad Gitas to every person that left the wedding. And so my friend, he received a Bhagavad Gita. This was in 2000. 2009, 9 years later, he came to my house and he saw that book. He said, I have this book. Where is this book? I have this book. And so he went back home and he opened the book. He read one verse and realized, what language is this? I don't understand anything. He's a very intelligent, educated person. And so he started coming to our Bhakti Vriksha programs. And today, he is now a pujari in our temple. He is a Bhakti Vriksha leader. He has cultivated so many devotees. How? By the power of book. 9 years it lay dormant. It was not touched. If it had a plastic wrapping, it would have still had the plastic wrapping. That much it was untouched. But 9 years it stayed. But it still had its potency. And so we know so many stories like this are there. But Prabhuji had asked me to share, so I'm sharing 2 stories of how these books are saving the world. And so again, you're all service in being the world's leaders and the role models for all of us in book distribution. And I pray that we can all follow in your glorious footsteps. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Any questions that we can? Yes, Prabhuji.
I just want to understand. Thank you, Nitya Krishna Prabhu. It was a great privilege to have heard from you. And so, how well organized was your lecture? I came in a little late, I'm sorry, but whatever I heard was so well organized. Thank you very much. My question to you is about one of the points that you made in your lecture about a healthy amount of fear. So I just wanted to understand what's a practical way. Of course, we say Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, introspection, all that. In general, what is really a healthy amount of fear to ensure that it doesn't degenerate into, say, depressive tendencies or something else, negativity?
So I think a bit of a healthy amount of fear is individual, right? So what is right for me may not be right for someone else and someone else. So I think it takes a good amount of introspection, just like austerity, right? What might be austerity for me might be, luxury for somebody else, and vice versa. So it is, customized solution in terms of healthy amount of fear. But I think it's the principal consciousness that, if we remember, Daksha, he was so close, yet he didn't make it. So recognizing that our position in devotional service is fragile, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, it is a bhakti lata bij. It is a creeper. What is a creeper? Is a vine. A vine may grow 50, 100 years, but a vine is very fragile. One snip of the scissors, gone. Right? A tree, as it grows, it becomes very thick, and you cannot cut it with scissors. So he did not say that our bhakti is a tree. He said it is a creeper. So it is fragile. And it is fragile until we go back home, back to God. As there Krishna then says, once you go back, you never return. So until that point, we should have a consciousness that if I'm not careful, I could fall away. If I don't continue to be diligent in the process, if I don't continue to follow the instructions. If we remember back to our early days in spiritual life, it's very easy to follow, right? We don't know when they give us water tulsi in our hand. Am I supposed to drink it or wash my hand? I don't know. Am I supposed to circumambulate this way? We don't know so many things. So what do? We just follow. But that mood of following somehow, as we become quote-unquote advanced, seems to dissipate. But in reality, that mood of following should only increase. Because we should know and recognize the further we go in devotional life, how valuable this process is and how valuable the goal is. And so that mood to follow should only increase. But there tends to be a tendency for that to say, oh, I got it now. I'm good. We should try to fight that understanding and that consciousness and remain. And that's what we see. If we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were the most illustrious of personalities. But they didn't move their hand from left to right without being instructed. They were such diligent followers. So if we maintain that, but again, what is healthy for one might be debilitating for another. So some introspection and to acknowledge that others before us have also made great progress and have left. And just like if you are walking on a ladder, on the first step of the ladder, do you need to be so diligent? If you fall, no big deal. If you get to the top of the ladder, you better be careful. So the more we advance in devotional life, the actual more careful we have to be, because the consequences are more significant. I hope that answers.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question here. Can I ask another question?
Yes. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for emphasizing this point on Daksha. You mentioned that Daksha had this sinful attitude, the aparadh was continuing with him. But my doubt is, if he was not absolved by his austerity, he was not, redeemed, then how could he have the audience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And if he got the audience and he recited those prayers which were genuine, so how was he not absolved? So how both scenarios can continue? So kindly...
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last line?
So how both scenarios can continue?
How both scenarios can continue?
Yeah.
So there's a saying in English that you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. So Daksha had all the opportunities as we discussed. And he had great potency, right? He was able to, compose some wonderful prayers. He was able to achieve that level. But still in the core of his heart, he was cursed himself with those material desires. Andishwara was cursed. Okay. So that material desire ultimately will preclude us from achieving perfection. Right? That's why definition of pure devotion is anya bilashita shunyam. All material desires must be eliminated. Then bhakti uttama can manifest. And so we may have, the greatest of opportunity to be in the association, to have all of, but if we don't apply and take advantage of the process to fully rid the heart, we'll not achieve that perfection. So that is how it can happen. Yes, follow.
Sorry, my point is, like in case of Dhruva Maharaj, he also had the material desires. But when he performed austerity and he got the audience of the Lord, it was completely removed. He says, Kachan vichan vin divya ratnam. So, Tvam praptavan. So, I have received you, then there's nothing else to be achieved. So, how that process has not worked for Daksha, it worked for Dhruva.
So, all I can comment is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's comments specifically in the that because of this lingering offense to Lord Shiva. So we know in order to become free from an offense, when Durvasa Muni went to Lord Vishnu to become free of the offense to Ambarish Maharaj, what did he say? Can't help you. You must go to Ambarish Maharaj and beg forgiveness. He was in Vaikuntha. Durvasa Muni was so powerful he could enter. He could not stay, but he could enter. And the Lord said, "Nothing. I can't help you." So Daksha has one path to becoming free from that offense. He has not yet taken that path. It's okay. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Please forgive me if I misspoke anything. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here. Grahantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Śrīla Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Hare Krishna.